Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this web video review. This is a video review of the Ray-O-Vac Sportsman Extreme flashlight. This, as you can see, is the 3-watt version, and this particular light uses the Luxeon Rebel emitter and an orange peel reflector. There are a couple different versions of this light, and this one I believe is the latest and greatest of the series. The previous 3-watt version uses the Luxeon Rebel 3. Uses the Luxeon 3 emitter, which is slightly dimmer and slightly less efficient as the Rebel version. But this is the latest Rebel version, as you can see, and it's a pretty straightforward light. Pretty nice fit and finish overall. Much better than a lot of the Chinese manufacturers. So it's pretty good in that regard. I would put it on par with my Surefire 6P as far as fit, finish, and just overall heft and feel of the light. So it's pretty good in that regard. It's got some pretty aggressive flat spots around the bezel, so it's not going to roll around too much, although it does roll a little bit. So it is ergonomic, but at the same time practical too. Let's take the switch cap off to expose the batteries. There's the inside contact plate. It's actually, I'm kind of surprised. This switch is actually very similar to the one on my Surefire 6P. It's a screw down on-off switch and a forward momentary tactical thumb switch. So it's a similar design. It has a metal plate that contacts the body of the flashlight to turn the circuit on. So you merely screw the cap on for permanent illumination, and of course press the button, the thumb button, for momentary tactical operation. So here's what the inside of the light looks like. Pretty straightforward affair. Okay, and you see the thick, heavy O-ring. Thick, well-designed O-rings, I think, are a characteristic of all the Nuwai flashlights that I've tried. This light is made in China by a company called Nuwai, and they make tactical flashlights for Chinese law enforcement, and they rebrand, River Rock and other flashlights at Walmart, and Cabela's as well too. I think there's a Cabela's version of this light too. So let's put the batteries back together and show you how the switch works. So it's, again, as I said earlier, it's very similar to a Surefire 6P, and it actually feels like a Surefire 6P too, dare I say. When you tighten down the thread and the O-ring engages, it's got a very tight, robust feel to it. So you simply twist it on to turn the light on. Okay, and let me do this and show you the momentary tactical forward clicky. Simply use your thumb and depress the button for momentary operation. There you have it. It's a lot easier to press than my Surefire as well. So that, I guess that can be seen as a plus or a minus depending on how strong your thumb is, and that kind of thing. So it also has a lockout feature, so if you turn the cap enough, it'll simply lock out, so there's no chance of it turning on accidentally in your bag when you're not using the light. So that beam that you're seeing there, that is the beam from a Lowe's Task Force. It's about 110 lumens from what I understand, and it's got a very tight beam, central hot spot with not a lot of spill, not a lot of flood on the side. Okay, so this beam on the right is the beam out of the Ray-O-Vac Sportsman Extreme flashlight. It's a much more diffused type of beam from what you can see there. And the Lowe's has a much brighter hot spot, as you can see. Much more clearly defined hot spot, as you can see there, and by comparison. This light here is a Luxeon 1 single AA Energizer EDC that I use. It's small, pocket sized. It sees about half the amount of voltage, being that it's a single AA cell. And you can get this light here at Target for, I think it's $18 or $17. So by comparison, here is the beam from the Ray-O-Vac Sportsman Extreme. So basically the Ray-O-Vac has a lot more spill and a much more intense hotspot in the middle. And the final beam shot I want to do is my Surefire 6P with Deal Extreme Cree R2 drop-in module. This light is about a 200 lumen light, so I don't know how effective this is going to be, but you can see there's typical Cree halo rings around the perimeter, around the central hotspot with some good spill on the sides, and by comparison here is the Ray-O-Vac Sportsman Extreme. Okay, so thanks again, and I hope you guys find this useful.